So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the launch event of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda for Ocean Energy from now on, the SRIA. I am Lotta Pirtimo from Ocean Energy Europe, and we are the coordinator of ETIP Ocean, the European Technology and Innovation Platform for Ocean Energy that is supported and funded by the Horizon Europe project ETIP Ocean. Together with Technalia and the University of Edinburgh, we are proud to present to you the new updated SRIA today. So let's take a look at our agenda today. After my really short introduction, we will start with a keynote from the European Commission. Then I will give a quick overview of the state of the ocean energy sector today. And then we'll hear how we've finalized or managed to prioritize the research and innovation topics for this new SRIA, and the bulk of this webinar will focus on what are the key R&I priorities inside the updated SRIA. So the SRIA identifies the key research and innovation priorities, topics that will have the greatest impact on progressing the ocean energy sector, with an ultimate objective of accelerating development and paving the way to commercialization. And once commercial, ocean energy can help deliver a competitive and zero emissions Europe. So we have a local resource. Europe can deploy 100 gigawatts of ocean energy by 2050. So because it's a local resource, it's not dependent on external political forces. Ocean energy can also increase energy security because it is predictable and produces at different times to wind and solar. It will help complement these variable renewables and therefore replaces gas in the grid and reinforces the security of energy supply in Europe, especially as we are going towards more renewables-based electricity grid. Ocean energy can also reinforce Europe's competitiveness. So European companies are already leading the sector. The first and largest tidal pilot farms and the most advanced wave devices are deployed in Europe. And the supply chain is also European, in some cases up to 100%. And this means that if we scale up ocean energy in Europe, the economic benefits and the 500,000 jobs will be created in Europe. And now, to put us in the context of the EU priorities, I would like to give the floor to Matthijs Soede from the European Commission, who will deliver a keynote. And I would also like to hand the SRIA that I have here, officially hand it to Matthijs. So because we didn't have it printed out yet, I will give him this QR code where you can find the SR. And there it is. We managed to do this. There it is. Great. Wait, let me unmute you, Matthijs.
Unmute. Thank you, Lotta. I will have a look into that. I will scan it, but not now. I will say a few words now. And I realize well that I can say a few words at the end of the meeting as well. That will be really great. Look, first of all, it is about the strategic research and innovation agenda of the ocean energy. Innovation is in fact at the heart of the EU energy transition. It is driving us towards a sustainable and resilient future, one of our aims. Because we have set targets for 2050, the EU climate goals, also driven by the collaboration of the parties. And I think it's always very important to keep this in mind. New low carbon technologies must be brought to the market, in fact, by the next decade, or this decade, in fact, already. The International Energy Agency is acknowledging this as well. They are really indicating that 1/3 of the energy mix in 2050 will depend on technologies which are not yet in the market. Ocean energy is, in our view, one of the technologies to be scaled up and be part of this 1/3. But we have to act, of course. It's a few weeks ago, or a month almost already now, that I had to be the pleasure to be in Melbourne at the 10th International Conference on Ocean Energy, organized by the auspices of the IEA OES Technology Collaboration Platform. And one of the takeaways here was for me, there is really a global interest, a huge interest to harness the energy potential of the seas and the ocean. And I think that's an opportunity as well for Europe. There is a market not only in Europe, but also globally. And I think that's something to be kept in mind. Of course, there are different conditions, and we can always say that has to be done or whatever. But since we are leader now, we have a lot of knowledge and already technologies in the water. This is a great opportunity for Europe. What is important as well, and it was a second one, is that we have to work together. It's an enormous challenge still, and to make it really work and to bring it to the market. And there are also non-technological issues to overcome, like finance, permitting, environmental impacts. But collaboration is an important issue, I think, as well. As Europe, we need to keep pushing the developments of new and alternative technologies. That is also one of the takeaways from me, that we have to play and to go on with that. Harnessing the power of the seas provides us a great renewable source of energy, reinforcing the EU's energy security, competitiveness, and resilience. And Lotte mentioned this already in her words. I think it's a good moment to publish this SRIA. At the moment, as Commission, we are really in a period of thinking about the future of Europe, also in a global context. And that's also because we will get a new commission, a new commissioners in the next few weeks, months, and we will have this transition. And we have seen many reports in the past weeks, months, highlighting that. And it's something to keep in mind. Reports about the competitiveness of Europe. What is the role of research and innovation? And yeah, that needs some more thought. We will have a new commissioner, and the designated commissioner of energy has a clear mandate. It's still in draft, but when he starts, he's asked to develop an electrification action plan to ensure that Europe's industrial transition towards net zero is powered by homegrown clean energy. Homegrown clean energy. I think that's a good signal for the ocean energy sector. The commissioner designate for who will be responsible for research and innovation is not only asked to pay attention to that and develop a new framework programs, but she, for now, she will be also asked to develop a so-called EU startup and scale-up strategy that improves the framework condition, in fact, for entrepreneurship. And knowing that there are many young companies in the ocean energy sector, I think that's a very positive outlook with the new commission coming up. And there are many other things in the new mandates of the commission coming up, which will help, in fact, the sector. The EU has been, in fact, already for a long while a supporter of ocean energy, and it supported the technology development via its funding programs. And we can say Europe is the leader in this area. It installed the first tidal pilot farms, a high number of full-scale wave energy devices are tested, and we just kickstarted as well some new projects on tidal wave and tidal arrays. It has also supported it via its policies. It published in 2020 the Offshore Renewable Energy Strategy, and a year ago the communication delivering on the EU offshore renewable energy ambitions, setting targets for the next years, but also for the next decade. One of our pillars in research and innovation is, in fact, the SET plan. And also this year, we have published a communication on that, and there it comes together, reinforcing the strategic energy technology plan, sealing, in fact, our long-standing commitment in setting policies to fight against climate change, but also to show our ambitions to increase our competitiveness. And that's supported by the new political guidelines from the Commission. So the new or the reinforced set plan was adopted as well last year, and still supporting the development of clean, efficient, and cost-competitive energy technologies through coordination and collaboration in clean energy research and innovation. And there it comes together in ETIP Ocean, in fact, because we are bringing the different parties, we are challenging, in fact, as well the ETIPs to work together on what is needed for now. And not only with the ETIPs, but also to work together with the member states. And it's going beyond only the technology development. It's also about cross-cutting technologies or cross-cutting issues like circularity and material substitutions, R&I for societal needs, digitalization, skills, access to the market. So, and I think we are doing very well with keeping a kind of an, where are we? What do we need to do in the next few years? And the SRIA will help us out, I hope. And I'm very interested in listening what is presented now. I hope for you the same. And really looking, okay, is this the plan? Let's do that. But Lotta, I like to finish here. Maybe a few words afterwards again on the SRIA itself.
Of course.
But I think the SRIA will help us for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthijs. I think it's good for all of us to indeed hear all the different ways how the EU has been and is supporting the sector through policies or funding, and to hear more about and indeed how ocean energy can fit into those political priorities as well. Great. Let's now continue with a little bit of overview of where we are today, so that we can then focus on where we are going and how we get there by looking at the priorities. So there you go. In tidal energy today, we have pilot farms in the water that have been producing electricity since 2016. And now many of the most advanced companies are looking into preparing and deploying their pre-commercial farms, also supported by the Horizon Europe program or other funding mechanisms, because currently we have revenue support in the leading European markets for tidal. And this has created a pipeline of projects. So 121 megawatts will be deployed in the UK in the coming few years, supported by the contracts for difference. And in France, a grant and a feed-in tariff will then deploy their first pre-commercial farm with the 17.5 megawatts Flowatt project. In Wave, many scaled and full-scale devices are undergoing or have undergone testing and demonstration in real sea conditions. And then the next step that some companies are already looking at is the deployment of the first wave energy pilot farms. And this is demonstrated by, for example, the launch of the first Horizon Europe calls for pilot farms for wave at the end of 2023, and support for 2 wave projects from the Innovation Fund. So we are looking forward to seeing those projects go in the water. Now, looking at the overall picture, we can see that the past research and demonstration really is bearing fruit. So over 40 megawatts of devices have been demonstrated in Europe in the past 15 years. And at the end of 2023, tidal stream has hit the 93 gigawatt hours of cumulative electricity production, mainly from pilot farms that have been deployed. And now because of that revenue support in the UK and France and the EU funded pilot fund project, we have a pipeline of 167 megawatts of publicly supported projects that are very attractive for private investors. And this public funding really helps projects to find investors and reach financial close, because it provides that market signal confirming that these technologies are part of the EU's or national government's political or long-term energy future. And it kind of provides that seal of validation that those technologies are worthy of investment. And in fact, several companies, private companies, are already investing in projects, or they have partnered up with technology developers. And here on the slide, you can see a few examples of oil and gas majors, utilities, and energy companies that have collaborations with ocean energy developers. And the SRIA has a bit more detail as to what those collaborations are. And to come back to the SRIA, by delivering with public funding on these identified research and innovation priorities, the sector, not only with public funding, but combined with private, but with time and by progressing the technology, we will get closer to a place where the private investment becomes the primary driver of the sector. And with that, I would like to introduce the next speaker, Donald Noble from the University of Edinburgh, who will talk more about how we managed to identify the most important topics amongst all the important topics out there. So how the SRA came to life. So Donald, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lotta. Yeah, so I'll just talk through the process of updating the SRIA. And this builds on some work done within the SuperGen ORE Hub project, which was a gap analysis of funded projects. And that was really trying to see what have we achieved since the last SRIA. And, you know, for example, as Lotta was saying, we've had lots of demonstration of novel wave energy converters like this one from Motion through some pretty steep waves. But also what was missing and what's still to be done. And maybe that's not quite so easy to underpin. So to do that, we had an 18-month consultation exercise with representatives from the sector to collect detailed feedback on what they saw were still challenges for the sector. And I think, you know, that came out in saying that there were still a lot of challenges that were ongoing, and, you know, additional research funding would be very beneficial in trying to address those. And then the final stage of this process was refocusing the priority topics, trying to align these with the future sector needs and to clarify what we mean by each of these. And Pablo will go into these shortly. But Lotta, if you can just bring up the next slide, thank you. So this, I'm not going to go into the detail of this, but this is some of the results from the analysis of funded projects, looking at the number of projects on the left and the funding in blue on the right. And as I said, this was conducted as part of the SuperGen offshore renewable energy project here in the UK, but we looked at funding from projects right across Europe that had been conducted since the last SRIA was published, and therefore would have had a chance to address the challenges previously identified. This was a very wide-scale analysis that looked at funding by the European Commission, obviously, but also by member states, national and regional agencies, and I believe that we captured all of the projects with a grant funding of over €100,000. Thanks to input from a lot of people. And, you know, I think that was quite a comprehensive amount of information that we used to focus our discussions. And the results show that there are some areas where there was more funding than was proposed in the previous SRIA, and others where there was less or even none. And there were also, at the bottom of the slide, you can see there was some clusters of areas where projects had been funded, but these hadn't been identified as priorities in the previous SRIA. So maybe the focus was too narrow, and so we've expanded the scope. And so this analysis was used as a basis for the discussions that we held with the sector representatives. And if you can switch to the next one, thank you. So yeah, we consulted the ETIP Ocean Technology Working Group, and you can see some of the logos from some of the members on the slide here. We aim to get a range of technologies, people at different development stage in their commercialization, a balance of wave and tidal developers, but also looking to the supply chain, academia, etc., to try and get feedback from as many different voices as we can. The process was then, having a sort of an introductory meeting in June of last year, I believe, to try and introduce where we're going with this and what we hope to achieve from that. And then the main focus of the work over the summer of last year was we had 3 online workshops. Each of those had 3 focused themed breakout groups where we held discussions on a range of topics based on what had been funded before, what is still a challenge for the sector. And all of that we pulled together and tried to summarize that. We then held a workshop alongside the Ocean Energy Europe conference last year, where we got further input from the sector on the preliminary results we had from that work. And then we sent out a follow-up questionnaire. And then the final part was to then pull together the new structure and, I say, refocus those challenges into hopefully something that outlines what the priority topics are for this sector, which leads us to the final area we had was a webinar where we presented the SRIA structure to our technology working group to get our final feedback before we finalised that and pulled it to the document that we saw Lotte handing Matthijs virtually a second ago. And so hopefully that gives a summary of where we went on the journey of updating the SRIA, and Pablo will now talk you through the where those challenges are.
Thank you very much, Donald. Indeed, now let's focus on the content of the SRIA. So what are the challenge areas and priority topics? I would like to give the floor to Pablo Ruiz-Minguela from Tecnalia to walk us through what those priorities are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lotte. Let me, think you can see my screen. Okay, I'm going to introduce the challenge areas and priority topics that has followed the process that Donna has explained and the purpose that Lotte introduced, and also Matthijs commented on his keynote on the long-term goals for Europe. I have a little time, so this will be a handful of highlights. You will have the document later on for download. The QR will be shown in one of the slides at the end of the webinar. First of all, all of this long process has come out with a structure. The challenge areas, which where all the research and innovation priorities are contained, are structured in 6 big areas. On top, we have the design and validation, which is believed by the sector is the central priority to achieve an ambitious cost reduction and then opening the way for commercialization, wide commercialization of ocean energy technologies. In the center, you will see 4 challenges aiming to increase technology maturity and prepare for large-scale deployment. It involves the next generation of technologies and subsystems, the analysis and modeling tools for ocean energy, the integration of enabling technologies, and also ocean energy market development. At the bottom, we have coordination and sector support actions, which support innovation efforts to leverage private investment. These 6 areas are broken down in 18 priority topics. Well, the table lists all of these priority topics, but it's a small font, so I won't expect you read all through this, but I'll come up later with each of the 18 topics. And the document is structured as follows. There is a general description of each of the talent areas, which outlines the motivation, the level of activity between the period covering 2020 to 24, and the main challenges that are the result of the dialogue with the sector. Then we describe the specific priority topics, and for this we add also a brief context, the main impacts, which are 5 main goals, and I will name those goals. First of all is make ocean energy competitive. Second, reinforcing the industrial capacity. Thirdly, filling the knowledge gap. Then also increase social and environmental acceptance, and last but not least, improving market confidence so that we can attract private investment. The specific priority topics also outline the applicability, either wave, tidal stream, or other ocean energy technologies, the scope of actions, the expected outcomes, and a summary of the implementation in terms of the TRL expected, the type of actions, the number and size of projects. Starting with the design and validation of ocean energy farms, well, it involves 3 priority topics, ranging from the demonstration of pilot farms to achieve commercial maturity, the demonstration of single devices, and the design optimization of other ocean energy technologies such as OTEC, SWAC, salinity, gradient, and tidal range. Obviously, the pilot farms is addressed to high TRL technologies, mainly wave and tidal, and has a great deal of budget devoted to that, up to 600 million euros. The demonstration of single devices applies to all types of technologies and also gathers TRL, high TRLs with an important amount of budget devoted to those actions. And finally, the design and optimization of other ocean technologies aims at intermediate high TRLs with a lesser budget allocated. In the middle layer of the challenge areas is the next generation of technologies and subsystems, which involve disruptive wave energy devices to demonstrate a step change improvement in LCOE. This only applies to wave energy technologies and with TRLs, low to medium TRLs, and a budget around 54 million. It is also a place for developing innovative PTO and control systems at medium-high TRLs and advanced mooring and foundations and power and connections, which applies to all technologies, also a mid and high TRLs being expected as an outcome of this research priority and innovation actions. Second, in this middle layer, ocean energy analysis and modeling tools, which involves advanced simulation of ocean energy systems and devices with projects with low and medium TRLs, the analysis of and planning tools for ocean energy farm deployment, and the modeling and simulation of farm construction and operation. These are for wave and tidal and medium and high TRLs. Thirdly, integration of enabling technologies in the ocean energy systems. And here we mean by enabling technologies, the transfer of innovative materials and manufacturing processes from other sectors, the application of latest instrumentation and sensor technology, and the use of artificial intelligence and big data. All of the projects are applicable to all kinds of ocean energy technologies, and with TRLs which range medium to high levels, maturity levels. Finally, in this middle layer, ocean energy market development, which involves the application of ocean energy in off-grid markets to remove the remaining obstacles to technology growth, demonstrating grid scale benefits of ocean energy, which aims at promoting ocean energy through theoretical studies, but also real demonstration, and the collocation of multiple technologies in order to increase the use of sea space, social and environmental acceptance of these technologies. Finally, at the bottom, the support actions involved coordination sector efforts, which has a limited budget, but mainly this will be support actions to foster coordination, knowledge sharing, and standardization. Accessing and upgrading testing facilities that accumulates the greatest bulk of budget within this challenge area in order to facilitate testing of components and systems in real conditions. And last but not least, the support to ocean energy sector development to provide also with non-technical support to companies, either SMEs or large companies and professionals in all type of ocean energy technologies. To sum up the contents of this SRIA, we would like to mobilize 1.5 billion euros between the period covering 2025 and 2030. This will involve allocating 56% to the design and validation of ocean energy farms, and a smaller amount ranging from 12 to 6% to the rest of challenge areas. The SRIA foresees that in order to address all the challenges, around 190 funded projects will be needed in this 6-year period. These projects will range various sizes, from very small, medium, large, and very large. Obviously, the large and very large make a small percentage, 15% of the number of projects, but altogether have an important amount of the whole funding required. In the medium size projects ranging from 3 to 8 million funding will have around 22% of that funds, and the largest amount of projects are small and very small, but it's around almost slightly more than 60% of the number of projects, but will take fewer requirements in terms of funding. Lastly, these actions are expected to be financed through a combination of funding sources. We estimate 60% of public funds that are divided in 1/3 for the countries and member states and 2/3 for the EU, and a significant amount of private funds, particularly for the most mature projects, totaling around 40%. And this was everything I wanted to present today. You will have the document to read through in detail about the scope of the priority topics. And I hand over to Lotta if there are any questions, but thank you.
Thank you, Pablo. Could you please put on the slide with the QR code?
Yeah.
so that perhaps the attendees who want to take a look can download the SRA for after the webinar. And while we have the slide here, perhaps I would ask Matthijs to come online again and give a few thoughts after seeing this presentation.
Thank you, Lotta. Just when I see the presentation, first I would like to congratulate you with the work done. Also Donald explaining how the sector has been involved in the development of this SRIA. I think it's very good to see that representatives of the industry, research organizations, academia have been involved, and that's in fact a common agenda. And that it is well thought out. It's not just developed last week. It has been a long process, more than 12 months to come to this. I think it's very good to see where we are in the sector, but also to see what should be done. And the agenda is very ambitious. Looking to all the different areas where still work needs to be, and also the knowledge which we need to get to develop the technologies to help the developers, but also to help the researchers at the universities to go ahead. There is even a prize label, which is quite high. I don't have it in my own personal wallet, but that's something to think about. How we are really going to implement this. And I think that's something for the next months. It shouldn't take too long, although this is a continuous process as well, how we are going to realize this agenda. And even to think about how can we do it smarter or more intelligent, and to take stock and avoiding duplication, using the knowledge of others. It's really important to see this as a collaborative effort. I think that's extremely, because when we do it alone in our single, how to say, communities or in the companies, you might not be able to get into the market, because that's a complicated one. Because you're talking about also about system integration and other energy technologies. So it's really that we have to be one sector. Thinking about the funding as well, alignment of funding, public, private, national, regional, how to use it. And I think this overview, which was presented of all the projects already done, I think that's extremely valuable work, which we should continue to monitor all the different projects in that respect. We are looking to the future, and of course, we will take this SRIA with the set plan and to really look how we can use it and how we can implement it. And I think it's very important to keep the dialogue going on. I would like to keep it to this. Congratulations again for publishing this SRIA. Very valuable, but there is work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthijs. Perhaps we can, if you could stop sharing the screen so I can see you all. Yeah, Matthijs, thanks. I think what you said there in terms of course, we have tried to put forward a price tag, as you say, but what you mentioned about the collaboration, this is not for one institution or one person to finance. It's really a matter of joint effort from the member states, regions, the EU as a whole. I think that's important to keep in mind. And yes, it's been a long 18 months, I think, but I think I talk for all of us here at ETIP Ocean side that we are really happy to be able to bring this forward now and publish the final result. I see one question here in the Q&A box, which I think I will take this one for myself then and give it to Matthijs. So will the topics presented by Pablo be included within the Horizon Europe Cluster 5 topics? When or where? So indeed, the purpose of the SRIA is to inform public funders, not only the Commission, but also, as I said, the member states and regions, to show where the biggest impact of research and innovation projects is. But at the end of the day, of course, it is the program managers who decide which topics they will take on board. I don't know, Matthijs, if you want to add a little bit on that.
Yeah, no, of course, Lotta. Look, the development of the work programs of Horizon Europe is a collaborative effort as well. Co-creation, we are doing this together with the different member states, but also with the different DGs within the European Commission, with DG Energy, DG Mare, Maritime Affairs, DG Environment. We are working on these work programs. But I'm using always the SRIA as a base for the first proposals. I'm really looking into the SRIA, okay, what are the key issues to be done? And in that respect, I can say, yes, we are including the topics of SRIA in our work program. Unfortunately, there are budget limitations. As you know, with the new commission coming up, there are also long discussions as well about how much budget should be available for research innovation. And the European Parliament already proposed to double it to 200 billion in total for the next 7 years. But of course, there will be some negotiations on that as well, because member states or others like to have a bit more reduced budget. But that's very important. We have to see as well, it's not only for Horizon Europe. I hope that this SRIA is inspiring national governments and regional governments as well to invest in that. And yeah, don't hesitate as well to invest by yourself, public money, maybe as well institutional. Some of the universities have some really institutional money, in fact, directly from the government, and can set their own agenda. And I think that's also very important, that research professors or technology institutes are setting their own agendas, also inspired by this SRIA. I see Henry inviting him, in fact, and Pablo. How are you as institutes working on that? Come up with the right proposals in that respect. Sorry for a long answer, but yeah, it is for us a source of inspiration.
Thank you, Matthijs. I don't know, Pablo or Henry, if you want to jump in as well.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Matthijs. I think that was a very comprehensive answer there, and I think it is important to reinforce that although we've went through a very robust and logical process to come up with these topics, and these are topics that are the topics that are required for the advancement of the entire sector. And so whether it is individual countries or the European Commission or indeed the private sector, then I think that the number of topics and the price tags associated with them, no one organization or no one country is able to sort of do this all on their own. And so I think what Matthijs is saying there is that European collaboration, and in fact broader than European collaboration, international collaboration of coming together to make sure that whether you are a region, whether you're a country, whether you're a private funder, or whether you're in fact the European Commission putting together the work programme, then making sure that we have good collaboration and we're not duplicating or replicating any of these efforts will be extremely important.
Indeed. I think Matthijs mentioned this duplication as well. I think that's something that we also try to avoid by sharing information within the ETIP Ocean and our technology webinars as well, which in fact, this wasn't planned, but leads me to the next point that I wanted to mention, that now we will organize further technology webinars based on this new strategic research and innovation agenda, and see a bit closer as to what has been done and what still needs to be done regarding the specific topics. So stay tuned for that. The next one will be organized sometime in late November, early December, I would say. So you will receive the invitations if you're on the ETIP Ocean mailing list. I think we can start to wrap up. I don't see any further questions. I'm sure our audience is really excited to go and read the report. It's I think almost 70-page document, so you'll have some bedtime reading for today. So I would like to thank from our side, of course, Matthijs, for coming to our launch event, for your inspiring words, and thanks Donald, Pablo, Henry for the work in the past couple of years on this, and thank you to all the participants today, and I will see you in the next webinar. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.